Happy Lunar New Year! For a huge part of the world, today marks a massive celebration, the start of a new cycle like the Year of the Horse. But, behind all the festivities, there is this incredibly profound and ancient system for telling time. So today, we're going to dive into the beautiful science and the really deep philosophy of the lunisolar calendar. All right, let's just get right to the question that everybody has. Why on earth does the date for the new year jump around every single year? But here's the thing. It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's actually a clue that points to a completely different way of thinking about time itself. So let's jump in. And first things first, we got to clear up a really common misunderstanding. A lot of people call it the lunar calendar, but, well, that's really only telling half the story. I mean, think about it. If you had a calendar that only followed the moon, it would be a disaster for farming, right? The new year would eventually drift right into the middle of summer, then into fall, then winter. It'd be useless. That's exactly why this calendar is such a brilliant hybrid. It's lunisolar. It perfectly merges two cosmic clocks, the moon and the sun, into one elegant, workable machine. Okay, so how does it pull this off? How does the calendar stay perfectly locked in with the seasons? Well, it uses a secret code from the sun. And this is what makes it so precise for agriculture. It was a genuine tool for survival. The engine driving this whole system is something called the 24 solar terms. So instead of just tracking months based on the moon, the calendar also slices the Earth's orbit into 24 distinct periods. And each one is tied to a specific agricultural event, with amazing names like grain rain or Insektsaweken. Just remember that number, 24. It's so much more than just a number. Each one of these 24 points is like a command from nature to the farmer. It's the hidden scientific code that tells them, okay, the soil is ready. Now is the time to plant. Now is the time to harvest. It's genius. And this quote from cultural historian Wei Hua just nails it. The moon gives us the rhythm of the months, sure, but the sun provides the actual backbone. It's the sun's path that makes sure the New Year celebration is always anchored to the real, physical start of spring. Here's a perfect example. Take the Qingming Festival. To many, it's a day for honoring ancestors. But it's not just a random cultural holiday. It is scientifically placed at a specific solar longitude, exactly 15 degrees, which just so happens to correspond to the absolute perfect conditions for spring plowing. How cool is that? But this is where things get really fascinating. This calendar wasn't just built for crops. It was built for people, for our bodies, and for our minds. The writer Lin Yutang just captured this feeling perfectly. He was a modern intellectual, and he was really trying to live by the Western Gregorian calendar, what he called his scientific consciousness. But his body, his heart, it just kept pulling him back to the old calendar. I just love this quote. Lin literally tried to ignore the old New Year, to just treat it like any other day. But the feeling in the air, the rituals, the red candles, it completely overwhelmed his rational, modern brain. He realized that these traditions were tapping into something deeper, something almost biological. And that's the crucial point he makes. This is a biological calendar. He said the Gregorian calendar measures dead time, just dates on a page. But the lunisolar calendar measures living seasons. It understands that when the start of spring happens, we feel it in our bones, and we need that psychological release after a long, hard year. So if the calendar marks this deep psychological reset, what about all the traditions we see? The fireworks, the feasts, where do they fit in? Well, they're not just random superstitions. You can think of them as a kind of social technology. The whole holiday, really, can be seen as this massive three-step reset for the entire community. First, you confront the chaos and harshness of winter, which is symbolized by that beast called Nian. Then, you cleanse everything, literally sweeping out the dust of the old year. And finally, you celebrate the big reset, the moment that Yang, that energy of growth and life, officially conquers Yin, the stillness of winter. And at the absolute heart of it all is the reunion dinner. This is so much more than just a big family meal. If you look at its origins, it was actually a very practical event. It was like a communal accounting of the harvest, and a powerful, joyful statement that the family, as a unit, had made it. They had survived another tough winter together. All of this really brings us to the core difference, doesn't it? When we compare the lunisolar calendar to the Gregorian one that most of us use every day, we're not just comparing two systems. We're looking at two completely different philosophies of what time even is. You've got the Western clock, right? It's mathematical, it's astronomical, and it's linear. It just measures the relentless forward march of time, day after day. But the Eastern clock is cyclical. It's not about marching forward into the unknown. It's about measuring the beautiful, eternal return of life every single spring. One is abstract. The other is deeply natural. And this chart really breaks down how those different philosophies create totally different machines. The Gregorian calendar, it's built for civil administration. It needs to be simple, fixed, a global standard. But the lunisolar calendar is built for farming. It has to be flexible, deeply connected to the seasons. And to stay in sync, it does something amazing. It doesn't just add a leap day. It adds a whole extra month every few years. So, as we celebrate this new year, it really leaves us all with a pretty fascinating question to chew on. The calendar that you use every single day, is it a tool just for counting time, or is it a guide for truly living in it?